Have you ever wondered why, no matter how kind or honest you are, the world keeps rewarding the ruthless? Today, we're going to expose the brutal truth Machiavelli warned us about: why good people are destined to lose unless they learn one crucial skill. History does not remember the kind-hearted, it remembers the conquerors. Empires were not built by generosity, but by strategy. In this world, innocence is not a shield, it is a target. Today, we uncover Machiavelli's dark wisdom: why good people lose, not because they lack virtue, but because they refuse to understand power. Why is it that good people, no matter how hard they try, always seem to fall short in a world ruled by manipulation, aggression, and ambition? Why does the honest man struggle while the cunning one succeeds? Why does the loyal friend get betrayed while the opportunist climbs higher? The answer is simple, yet brutal: goodness by itself is not power. In fact, when placed in the wrong hands, it becomes a weakness. And Machiavelli warned centuries ago, in a world driven by power, those who cling blindly to virtue will always be defeated by those who understand strategy. Good people believe in fairness. They believe that the world operates on mutual respect, that if they play by the rules, others will too. But the world is not fair, it is calculated. It is not ruled by morality, it is ruled by leverage. While good people wait for justice, powerful people create outcomes. While good people hope to be rewarded, powerful people seize rewards without waiting for permission. You can see this in every part of life. In workplaces, it is rarely the most honest or hardworking employee who rises to the top. It is the one who understands influence. The one who knows when to speak, when to stay silent, when to charm, when to intimidate. The one who understands that perception often outweighs reality. Meanwhile, the good worker who follows every rule watches others get promoted ahead of them and thinks, this isn't fair. But fairness was never part of the competition. Good people lose because they are predictable. You always know how they will respond. If they are insulted, they will remain calm. If they are betrayed, they will forgive. If they are used, they will justify it. Predictability is the death of power. Machiavelli believed that a ruler must be like both a lion and a fox: powerful when necessary, cunning when needed, unpredictable at all times. Good people are lions without claws, foxes without teeth. They rely on purity, thinking it will protect them, not realizing it makes them easy targets. Another reason good people lose is because they seek approval rather than control. They want to be liked by everyone. They want harmony at all costs. They avoid conflict, even when conflict is necessary. They refuse to set boundaries because they don't want to hurt feelings. They say yes when they should say no. They apologize when they did nothing wrong. People think they are noble, but they are not noble. They are harmless, and harmless people are not respected. They are tolerated, ignored, or quietly used. Even in relationships, the kindest one often suffers the most. The one who gives more, forgives more, loves more is the one who ends up broken. Not because love is wrong, but because imbalance is fatal. When one person is willing to do anything to keep peace, while the other knows they can do anything without consequence, the power belongs entirely to the one who is less invested. Machiavelli never said that goodness is useless. He simply said that goodness must be controlled. Mercy should be given when it strengthens you, not when it weakens you. Loyalty should be earned, not handed out freely. Kindness should be strategic, not automatic. Because the cruel truth is, if you refuse to understand the darker side of human nature, someone else will, and they will use your goodness against you. The world does not reward innocence. It rewards resilience. It rewards awareness. It rewards those who can balance virtue with vigilance. If you are only good, you will lose to those who are good, when convenient, and ruthless when required. If you always play fair, you will lose to those who change the rules. If you refuse to strike back, you will lose to those who never hesitate. So ask yourself, are you losing because the world is evil, or because you refuse to protect your goodness with strength? Are you clinging to purity because it's right, or because it's easy? Because true goodness is not soft, it is not submissive, it is not silent. True goodness has armor, true goodness has boundaries. True goodness knows when to extend a hand and when to withdraw it before it gets bitten. Have you ever wondered why, no matter how kind, honest, or well-intentioned you are, the world rarely rewards you for it? From childhood, we are taught that goodness will bring success. Be polite, follow the rules, treat others well, and good things will happen. Yet, as we grow older, a darker truth emerges. Life does not operate on morality. It operates on strategy. And strategy rarely favors the righteous. The biggest flaw of good people is that they assume the world operates by the same rules they follow. They believe fairness is universal. They think honesty guarantees respect. They assume that loyalty will be returned. But Machiavelli knew better. He observed rulers, kings, and generals. He studied betrayal, deception, and human nature. And he discovered what most people refuse to accept. Those who cling to goodness without power become prey for those who possess power without goodness. Good people lose not because they are wrong, but because they are predictable. The kind man will always forgive. The loyal friend will always stay. The honest worker will never cheat. To the cunning, this is not virtue, this is opportunity. When a wolf studies the behavior of sheep, it does not admire their innocence. It waits for the perfect moment to strike. People often say, "But I treat everyone nicely. Why do people still walk over me?" It's because kindness without boundaries is not kindness, it is weakness. When your goodness makes others comfortable exploiting you, it is no longer a noble trait. It is a self-inflicted curse. Those who constantly say yes become slaves to those who know how to say no. Good people avoid conflict. They fear being disliked. They want peace, even when that peace costs them their dignity, and that is exactly why they lose. Power does not belong to those who avoid confrontation. It belongs to those who control it. The world is not a battlefield of morals. It is a battlefield of leverage. Look at the workplace. The hardest working employee is not always the one who gets promoted. It's the one who understands politics. The one who knows when to be silent, when to agree, when to impress, and when to intimidate. You see it in relationships too. The person who loves unconditionally is often taken for granted, while the one who maintains mystery and restraint is desired. Humans don't value what is fully available. They value what is scarce, what is unpredictable, what they cannot easily possess. Good people tend to speak the truth openly, thinking honesty is universally respected. But Machiavelli warned truth is a weapon that must be sharpened before used. If you reveal your thoughts too quickly, you give others control over you. If you expose your plans too early, someone smarter will execute them before you. Silence is not cowardice, it is strategy. Many will say, "But I don't want to become cold, I don't want to lose my humanity," and you shouldn't, but goodness must be sharp, not soft. A sword wrapped in velvet, it is still a sword. You can be kind but not naive. You can be generous but not submissive. You can be honest but not transparent to everyone. The world does not need more harmless people. It needs good people who are capable of defending their goodness. Because the harsh truth is, if you are completely harmless, you are not virtuous, you are just ineffective. Virtue is not the absence of power. It is the control of power. The ones who win are not always cruel, but they are willing to be, if necessary. They know when to be gentle and when to be ruthless. They understand timing. They understand leverage. They understand that to protect goodness, you must be willing to stand against those who abuse it. So ask yourself honestly, are you losing because the world is unfair, or because you refuse to see how it truly operates? Do you mistake passiveness for kindness? Do you allow disrespect, hoping it will stop on its own? Do you stay silent in moments where strength is required? And most importantly, are you good because you choose to be, or because you are afraid of being anything else? Why is it that the people with the softest hearts often carry the heaviest burdens? Why do those who cause no harm seem to be the ones punished the most by life? The ones who forgive are betrayed. The ones who help are abandoned. The ones who love deeply are the ones left shattered. It almost feels like the more goodness you carry inside, the more pain the world assigns to you. But is this a coincidence? Or is there a brutal design behind it? Good people suffer because they feel more than others. They do not move through life with thick skin or emotional armor. Every insult cuts deeper. Every betrayal echoes louder. While others can brush things off, the good-hearted remember every word, every tone, every change in someone's behavior. They overthink, they replay, they question themselves. Their minds never rest because they are constantly wondering if they gave too much, cared too much, trusted too much. They suffer because they assume others think like them. They expect loyalty because they would never betray. They expect honesty because they would never lie. They expect effort because they would never give the bare minimum. But the world is not filled with reflections of them. It is filled with opportunists who recognize kindness as an opening. There are people who see softness not as something to protect, but as something to exploit. And so, good people find themselves confused. They ask, why do they hurt me when I did nothing wrong? But that is exactly why. You did nothing wrong, and that made it easy for them. You didn't fight back. You didn't say no. You didn't expose them. You believed that being silent was noble, that patience was strength, that understanding would fix everything, but sometimes silence is permission, sometimes patience invites disrespect. Good people often suffer because they are peacemakers. They avoid conflict, even when conflict is necessary. They would rather carry pain themselves than give it back to someone else. They take responsibility for emotions that are not theirs to carry. They apologize even when they are the ones hurt. They prioritize harmony even in situations where harmony should not exist. They protect others more than they protect themselves, and people notice that. Abusers notice that. Manipulators notice that, and they use it. There is another reason why they suffer. They attach deeply. When they love fully. They invest emotionally, spiritually, mentally. They don't hold back. And that's why losing someone hits them like a hurricane. They don't just lose a person, they lose a part of themselves. Meanwhile, someone with a colder heart can move on quickly because they never gave that much to begin with. Depth is beautiful, but it is also dangerous when given to someone shallow. Good people carry guilt more than others. If something goes wrong, they assume it must be their fault. They replay conversations, wondering if they said something wrong. They blame themselves even when others are clearly at fault. The cruelest part is the world rarely comforts them. People assume they are strong because they endure so much. They assume they are fine because they don't complain. They assume they don't need help because they rarely ask for it. So they suffer in silence, unseen. But perhaps the real tragedy is that good people believe suffering is their destiny. They think being good means accepting pain. They think being kind means allowing mistreatment. They think being forgiving means never drawing boundaries. They think being humble means never standing up for themselves. They confuse sacrifice with virtue and self neglect with generosity. Look closely at history. Those who remained purely gentle were rarely celebrated. It was the ones who learned to guard their goodness with strength who survived. A kind heart without a strong spine will always break. The goal is not to stop being good. The goal is to stop being helpless. You can be compassionate without being controlled. You can be patient without being passive. You can be loving without being blind. The world will not change for the good-hearted. So the good-hearted must change their strategy, not by becoming cruel, not by abandoning their nature, but by learning that even light must cast a shadow to be seen. Why is it that when good people rise to power, they rarely stay there for long? Why do those with pure intentions so often lose control, while the ruthless dominate without hesitation? We grow up believing that goodness naturally leads to leadership, that honesty earns respect, that fairness keeps people loyal. But reality tells a different story. In the real world, power is not secured by virtue. It is secured by leverage, strategy, and the ability to be firm even when it feels uncomfortable. Good people lose power because they believe authority is maintained through kindness. They lead with their heart, assuming others will follow out of gratitude or moral alignment. But most people do not respond to kindness, they respond to consequences. When someone in a position of power hesitates to discipline, hesitates to confront, hesitates to set boundaries, they may believe they are being noble, but to others, it signals permission. Permission to test them, permission to disobey, permission to push and see how far they can go. The moment power appears soft, it begins to erode. Those beneath a gentle leader start to feel equal, then superior, and eventually uncontrollable. Good leaders think winning hearts is enough. But Machiavelli warned it is far safer to be feared than loved, when love alone is not strong enough to command respect. Love without strength becomes pity. Respect without authority becomes disobedience. Good people lose power because they prioritize being liked over being effective. They avoid hard decisions because they don't want to hurt feelings. They forgive betrayals too quickly, hoping people will change. They give second chances to those who never deserved first ones. They believe patience will fix disloyalty, that understanding will cure disrespect. But disloyal people do not change when forgiven, they change when confronted. And if confrontation never comes, then exploitation becomes routine. Good people in power often reveal too much. They speak openly, believing transparency builds trust. But power is not maintained by exposing your weaknesses. It is maintained by controlling information. The more predictable a person is, the easier they are to manipulate. When someone knows your emotions, your fears, your doubts, they know how to move you. They know when to flatter you, when to guilt you, when to pressure you. Kindness makes you approachable, but too much openness makes you controllable. And then there's guilt, the silent assassin of power. Good people constantly question if they're being too harsh, too demanding, too authoritative. They underestimate themselves while others overstep. They apologize when they should command. They justify insubordination instead of correcting it. Meanwhile, those who lack conscience operate freely. They never hesitate. They never doubt themselves. They never stop to wonder if they're being too firm, and that is exactly why they stay in power longer. Power is not sustained by who is nicest. It is sustained by who is unbreakable. People follow strength. They respect consistency. They obey those who cannot be swayed by flattery, pressure, or guilt. A leader who is too merciful becomes a servant to those he tries to protect. A ruler who fears being seen as strict will soon be seen as weak. But here's the most tragic part: good people don't lose power because they lack ability. They lose it because they refuse to balance compassion with control. They believe they must choose between being feared or being kind, between firmness and empathy. But true power is not about choosing one or the other. It is about knowing when to be gentle and when to be immovable. Goodness becomes powerful only when it is disciplined. Mercy becomes valuable only when it is rare. Authority becomes respected only when it is backed by consequence. Without these, goodness is not strength, it is surrender. Kind leaders are admirable, strong leaders are remembered, and the greatest leaders in history were both. Why is it that no matter how hard they try, good people always seem to come second? They show up early, stay late, treat everyone with fairness, yet when the rewards are handed out, it's someone else standing in the spotlight. The louder ones, the colder ones, the ones who know how to bend rules rather than follow them. From childhood, good people are told that patience is a virtue, and that one day their turn will come. But life is not a queue. There is no orderly line. It is a battlefield, and those who wait politely rarely get a chance to step forward. Good people finish last because they play a game that no one else is playing. They believe that effort alone guarantees results. They think that if they do the right thing long enough, someone will notice, appreciate, reward them. But the world is not run by observers, it is run by opportunists. While good people wait to be chosen, others choose themselves. While good people ask for permission, others take action. While good people try not to offend, others dominate conversations, control narratives, and claim territory without apology. Good people are raised to avoid conflict. They are told to be humble, polite, cooperative, but humility without assertiveness turns into invisibility. Politeness without boundaries invites disrespect. Cooperation without conditions becomes servitude. The truth is, people don't respect those who give endlessly without demanding anything in return. They tolerate them, they use them, they forget them. Have you noticed how in relationships, the one who loves more often loses power? The one who forgives faster gets hurt more. The one who gives everything is left with nothing. It's not because love is wrong, it's because imbalance is fatal. Good people give from a full heart, but never stop to check if the other person is pouring anything back. By the time they realize it's one-sided, it's already too late. In workplaces, the most competent one is not always the one promoted. It's the one who knows when to be visible, the one who understands timing, alliances, influence. Hard work makes you valuable, but visibility makes you powerful. Good people often assume that being quiet and diligent is noble. But in silence, their achievements go unnoticed, while others take credit loudly. Good people finish last because they assume the world is fair. They project their values onto everyone else. They think loyalty will be returned. They think honesty will be matched. They think kindness will inspire kindness, but not everyone is built that way. Some people see loyalty as a leash, honesty as leverage, and kindness as a discount. The cruel irony is that good people often believe their goodness is enough. They think it will shield them from betrayal, protect them from manipulation, grant them natural favor. But goodness without strength is not protection, it's exposure. When predators scan for prey, they don't look for the weakest body. They look for the softest spirit. But here's the real reason good people finish last, not because they're too kind, but because they refuse to evolve. They cling to goodness even when it's harming them. They refuse to draw lines, to demand respect, to walk away from those who take advantage. They confuse self-sacrifice with virtue. They believe being chosen is better than choosing. They think that playing nice is the same as being morally superior. But morality without boundaries is not purity. It's negligence. There is nothing admirable about being stepped on. There is nothing noble in always losing. There is no glory in being forgotten. If good people want to stop finishing last, they must stop acting like finishing last is somehow holy. Goodness was never meant to be passive. Kindness was never meant to be weak. Generosity was never meant to be blind. The world will not reward those who wait quietly. It will only move aside for those who walk forward with both heart and spine. Good people were never meant to lose. They were simply never taught how to defend their goodness. In a world ruled by strategy, kindness without strength is surrender. But kindness with boundaries becomes influence. Compassion with discipline becomes leadership. Morality with intelligence becomes power. The goal is not to abandon goodness, it is to arm it. For only when goodness learns to protect itself does it finally stop finishing last and start shaping the world instead of suffering from it.